What's up, everybody? Remember me? It's your friendly neighborhood crypto coffee. Today, I've got a very special guest. He agreed to come on my show graciously because he's like at least 15 times the size of channel-wise that I am. So appreciate you and your charity contribution to my channel, sir. And thanks for coming on. If you guys don't know Joe Parys, like and subscribe in the description below. There's a link. If you haven't heard of him, I mean, he's a HEX fan, but he's also talking about all things crypto, right? You don't just focus on HEX and PulseChain. Want to introduce yourself? Like, what's your position or what's your style of kind of content, and what's your goal? Oh no, I lost. Oh, here we go.
There we go. I think I'm back. Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. I don't know what happened with the connection there, but yeah, go ahead, man. You're killing it with the intro, and yeah, no, I'm grateful to be on the show, man. Honestly, I appreciate you reaching out, and yeah, welcome. My name is Joe Parys, and I started crypto YouTube about a year ago, and yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited to be here. I would think I was one of the first ones to really speak pretty openly about HEX all the way back. Gosh, what was it? Right around like the 6 cent mark. And in my online class, I was telling people about HEX and Pulse and what was happening next with that entire project right around the 2 cent mark. I have video recordings of those in my class, and it's pretty crazy to see the growth. I mean, from 2 cents to 50 cents is wild. And I got messages from many people on Instagram and just saying, thank you so much. I remember HEX was at like 15 or 20 cents. This was like months ago when it was, on the rise up. I got a DM from somebody saying, thank you so much for sharing about this project on a day like today, and that's why I think we're both here. And, we're really excited just to be here and to give back to this amazing community and to the people who are watching, because, that we know exactly where a lot of you may potentially be. We've been through a lot, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy to share more, and we'll get the party going here.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm looking, through your previous video history, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of altcoins on there, but I know you've been promoting HEX, or at least getting it on people's radars, since at least like 8 to 10 months ago. And anyone that's been listening to you is in massive profit right now if they actually listened, from the moment you kind of started talking about it. And you've been early on the PulseChain hype too, which is really like what we're preparing people for right now, to learn about PulseChain and HEX in this crazy environment right now, in this bear cycle. It's going to be really important because, guys, everybody is wrecked right now. I mean, if you're in stocks, you're wrecked. If you're in Bitcoin, you're wrecked. Hey, you got a little pump from the Ukraine FUD. Great job. But like, that's not going to probably last forever. I think there's probably a lot more pain to go in the system, just because, the fact that people are even arguing about, I don't know if we're in a bear market yet, probably means we're in a bear market. Because, it's these people just want to hang on and to hope. And I remember seeing this kind of sentiment in 2017. And, I was in crypto. I've been in crypto since 2015. So, been in crypto over half the time it's been alive. I'm not sure what year did you get in?
2017. So you got a couple of years on me. So you're the real OG of the thing here. So
well, yeah. But all I'm saying, we've seen cycles, right? We understand that this stuff comes back, and there's always this certain emotion or this general sentiment of just total pain, total loss, and people just totally give up on crypto, and they say, it's never coming back. And then just when all the people, some of the biggest influencers, close up shop and their YouTube channels go away, that's when crypto comes back. And there's only very few people that actually stay there. Like for the last cycle, it was only like Data Dash and maybe Chico Crypto that kind of were still out there talking about some cool altcoins, or talking about, the macro scale. And a lot of these people aren't thinking on yearly timeframes. But really, guys, when people are dropping like flies and there's blood in the streets, it's actually the best time to buy. And I know it sounds insane, right? But it's the best time to dollar cost average in at these dips. And we might have another 6 months left of this bear market. I mean, maybe another year, because there's lengthening cycles. I want to get your take on that. Do you think we're in a bear market? I think it's clear. And if so, how much longer do we have for this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. It's funny that you asked this, because somebody literally asked this exact same question on my Instagram yesterday, and they said bull market ? And my response, it's funny, I think it's still on my stories if anyone's interested in looking at it. But my response was, I think it's really hard to say right now, because there are some bullish indicators and there are some, bearish ones. But if I'm going to be honest about the situation, I'm not feeling like I was 3 to 6 months ago back in November and December when things were pumping like crazy. We had all those metaverse coins going nuts. Hex, that cycle was actually before all that madness went up to 50 cents, and it was crazy. And so I'm not feeling like we're going to be getting any of that anytime soon. But the crazy thing is, too, in my mind, is that like there's a lot of on-chain data right now suggesting that people are holding, like they're not getting rid of their coins. People are accumulating down in the 30s, and we went talking about Bitcoin, of course.
Yeah.
Bitcoin went to 33, got snatched up like crazy, and so like it's really bizarre. But I'm more leaning towards what you had to say as well. I do believe that we could go lower. I would not be surprised to go to like 20,000 for Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hex and some of these other cryptos potentially get cut in half again. So I've been warning people on my channel for weeks now, saying, look, crypto warning, crypto warning. Like there's definitely, it's a different game right now. And so,
Yeah. But people think warning means sell. People don't understand. You might say warning. It's like warning. Yeah, it could drop more. That doesn't mean sell, guys. If you think some of these coins are going to stand the test of time, that actually means, I mean, we're not telling you to buy, but it's kind of a buy signal, right? And really, you got to look at which coins are going to survive this next cycle, because every cycle we have a wave of coins, and the coins that were in the top 10 in 2017, minus the stable coins in Bitcoin and Ethereum, are not the same as the coins that are in the top 10 now. They're not the same. There's different fads in DeFi and Ethereum, and only a couple of winners. And so you got to ask yourself, look around you. Where are the communities at? Where are people building? I don't see anybody in the Hex community really giving up. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of people arguing, but a lot of us are locked in for many, many years. And a lot of the fake long-term thinkers, they're getting shaken out during this time rather than doubling down and really securing their bags and staking.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see what's happening right now, because again, there are a lot of different ways that this can go. And what I kind of was sharing with people is, okay, if it's bullish and bearish, well, what do you do? And this is where my focus completely on my channel as well has been new projects. And the reason why is because I think we both know how risky cryptocurrency really is, right? I mean, and I tell people this all the time. I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in Ethereum. I think they're amazing. I think they'll be around for many years to come. But if you bought Ethereum at $5,000, you're half of your money's gone right now if you were to sell it, right?
It's gonna take a long time to come back there.
Potentially, right? And
right.
Our point is that there's nothing like Ethereum is still solid project in both of, in many people's eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But timing is everything. And so the best timing, in my opinion, and I've seen this happen time and time again, is to get in early. That's why, we talked about, Hex, of course, but also these new projects, PulseX and Pulse. Now, unfortunately, you're a little late to the gate on those at this time. But if you've been following us, we've been, saying at the top of our lungs, hey, look, there's another opportunity. And ultimately, we have no idea what will happen. But that's not our job. Our job isn't to predict what is going to happen. Our job is to give ourselves the best opportunity to be successful. And whether the success comes or not, it doesn't really matter. And to your point, too, I know you've been, it's been very bearish with Hex and a lot of these coins. For a lot of us, though, like the first time I bought Hex was at 0.0038, right? And I've been staking it and just enjoying the process, right? And I'm fortunately in a point with my life where I don't need the Hex money to survive, right? Like, and if there's anyone watching this, why am I telling you this? The reason I'm telling you this is because, and you said this in one of your last videos, I just watched it. If you don't have a business, if you don't have cash flow coming in, that's what you really need to focus on. Because right now I still got cash flow from my business, from a lot of other sources. And that gives me the opportunity then to buy these dips or potentially invest in cryptocurrencies that are down. And that's how you can just exponentially grow your wealth and net worth, right? I think people come to crypto and they're like, maybe they work a regular job or they're only making X amount a month and they're trying to like quadruple their money really fast. And it's like, well, at that point, you're kind of just gambling. You might as well just go to the casino, put it on red, and hope you double or triple your money that way. And we all know how that works out. It doesn't, right? So,
well, yeah, that's the equivalent of chasing pumps and like after the fact. It's like, oh, this coin was up 100x. I'm going to buy in at the top, and I'm going to be the exit liquidity for everybody.
Exactly. So, I mean, we can jump into some questions that people have here, and I'm happy to turn it back over to you as well. But I think that we both are feeling that yeah, this is not necessarily the time to throw all your chips in the middle. I think that, there is an opportunity here, but more downwards action is definitely a possibility. And you got to do your research, and you should never risk
Yeah,
more than you can afford to lose ever. So
of course. And strategize, slow down on your thinking. And like Joe just said, grind a little bit at your business, start a business if you can, and work your 9 to 5 job, whatever it may be, stack up some paychecks, and then dollar cost average into the dips. I mean, if people did that with Ethereum when it dropped 95% a couple of years ago, they'd be up huge right now. I mean, there's a 75% dip in HEX. Could we get as low as maybe 85%? I think so. I think we could dip 85%, which would be, another 50% down from here if you know how like the ratios work. But yeah, now is a good time to stack, chill, strategize. And if you were the one relying on selling you're selling your crypto to get by, like that's not a good strategy in the bear market, because essentially you're buying high and selling low. You want to do the exact opposite of what your emotions are telling you to think. And it's really tricky, really easier said than done. I was only able to do it after suffering a massive defeat in 2017. So, I mean, I'm just trying to save some people from the mistakes I made. But we do have some really interesting questions in here. So let's get around to those. I just read about this today. Venezuela shut down MetaMask accounts, and a lot of people were saying, oh my God, I thought, MetaMask was decentralized. What's the whole point of this crypto thing if the government can just shut down the MetaMask IP addresses? Well, number one, you can use a VPN, guys. Number two, yes, there's a lot of risk with Infura. Okay. I am admitting that. Like, there's a lot of risk in using a Bitcoin client. If you're not running the node yourself, you are at risk of the client provider banning you, essentially, which is what they did in Venezuela. They said, hey, IP addresses from Venezuela, we're going to ban, the Infura endpoints from getting to you. And so you won't be able to send anything on Ethereum. I think it's pretty messed up. That's why you can never trust governments. That's the whole point of crypto, is to get around that stuff. What do you think about that?
I mean, this is the first time I heard about this, to be honest. This is a great question. But I will say, where there's a will, there's a way, right? And you can't stop this thing from happening. Yeah, they can, shut down your MetaMask wallet. Like you just gave an example of, get a VPN, right? Go to there's always a way for you to, okay, if it's in MetaMask, open up a trust wallet, send it over there, right? Like, and so there's these governments can do whatever they want to try to stop crypto, but they can't. Like, ultimately, they can't do it. Like, they can ban it. They can, China's banned it 1,000,000 times, right? And so, and every single time they've done that, the price has just skyrocketed. So,
Yeah.
not financial advice, of course, but like, pay attention to those kind of things. And if there's anything that I've learned about crypto, it's like, cryptocurrency to me should be a hedge against everything else, right? You shouldn't have all your eggs in crypto, in the sense of, if something like this does happen and you can't get a hold of your funds for whatever reason, maybe you don't have a VPN or whatnot, you also have many other backups, right? I think too many people just have this mentality of like all or nothing, and that can get you into a lot of trouble. And so, just again, I'm not condoning this. I'm not saying that like this was a good thing by the government. Like, I don't know the overarching details of it, but I will say, have a backup. Right? Always have a backup. Have many wallets, have different exchanges, have your crypto in different places. Because if you have all been in MetaMask, well, then, I mean, that probably isn't the smartest thing to do, right? And so for me, it's like, I got crypto everywhere, right? And that's why I really enjoy the different coins, the different blockchains, the different wallets. You got to really educate yourself, though, and learn. That's what I would say. Like, this is a learning lesson for those with MetaMask. And
well, it's not just MetaMask, actually. It's Infura. It's the service that MetaMask pulls data from. Okay. And so I think what people need to realize is that, just like, when one dark web website goes down, 5 more pop up to take its place. We need redundancy in terms of these different providers. In HEX, you have redundancy. You have backuphex.com. You have at least 5 different front ends: Staker app, hexmobile.win, apphex.win. You've got all these different things just in case that happens, right? So it's good to have different front ends. It's not like MetaMask failed, but the server, providing data to MetaMask seems to have been shut off. But like I said, VPN, easy solution. Less easy solution is to build more Infuras, build more versions of that. And I think there are other endpoints to connect to. I think there are other data providers to connect to. I just don't know. And it's a little bit more of an advanced technique, but you can go in the settings of MetaMask and toggle some stuff around and maybe get around that. So crypto really is unstoppable. I think this is just government FUD trying to flex and say, hey, we got this under control. The governments don't have crypto under control, guys. It's like trying to censor the internet. People will always find a new way. Here we go. If you were new to crypto, would you suggest someone buy into HEX now or get into PulseChain and pulsex when it first launches? Well, sounds like financial advice, Nathan, but in our non-financial advice opinions, what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, not financial advice, of course, right? This is a tricky question because I think Gerardo and I actually answered something very similar to this. And my answer was going to be very similar. And that is, why not own them all, right? Because again, we don't know at this time which one is going to do better. We don't have enough data. So I have no idea if PulseChain or PulseX is going to be better than HEX because they haven't launched yet. What we can see is that with PulseX, there was more people sacrificing than Pulse, right? So you can kind of take a look at, all right, well, if there's less people who have Pulse, and maybe that would be one that I want to get earlier because there's less sell pressure potentially. But they're so different of projects. All of them are very, very different, and they do different things. And so for me, I would personally, if I was, you, Nathan, right? Not financial advice again. I would, play around with all of them because let's say HEX does really well, but PulseChain and PulseX, don't do as well. Well, at least you got your bases covered there and you got one winner, right? And this is where this approach with crypto, the one thing I learned in 2017 is I went all in on one cryptocurrency and it went up like crazy and then it went down like crazy and really hasn't recovered very much. It has a little bit, but that was my biggest mistake, is not diversifying. And so if there's anything I would say is definitely look at diversifying, and also, again, never risking more than you can afford to lose, because you should always feel in crypto, because it is such a volatile market, and a lot of these cryptos are very, the crazy highs and crazy lows. Like, you don't want to be emotional at all with these investments, right? This is another mistake people get. They get very emotional. They're like, oh my gosh, it's way up, or it's way down. And you should just be looking at this almost as like a savings account. That's how I kind of approach crypto. I'm like, well, I could put my money in a bank, which it does nothing, or I could put my money in crypto, and I'm not really planning on selling or doing much of that anyways, but I'm just kind of holding on to it. And then it just, it continues to go up and to the right forever. And so that to me is just like,
yeah,
that's the easy. Yeah, go ahead.
It goes up into the right with crazy volatility in between.
For sure.
So if you connect the point at the bottom left and the upper right, yes, it looks like a straight line up, but experiencing that when you're in the middle of that, it can be tough. So you need to realize that crypto, in my opinion, is not going anywhere. And if crypto doesn't die, you need to ask yourself, which cryptos do you want to be holding? I personally believe that HEX is poised to bounce back super hard when the next macro bull market comes. And it might even pump during the bear market if we can get a little bit of hype around PulseChain. If PulseChain releases at the bottom of the bear market, that would not only be amazing for the PulseChain price, because the only way to go is up, right, at the bottom of bear market, but it'd be good for the HEX price too. And why would someone buy into HEX now? Well, let's say you don't have Pulse and you want to swap one thing for another. It kind of feels like everyone's going to be swapping their PulseX for Pulse, judging by, like you said, how many more people got into PulseX. Why not do what everyone's not doing? Swap a little bit of your HEX for Pulse. But again, like you already said, why not expose yourself to all three? Opportunity is like a surface area. You want the highest amount of surface area to catch the most opportunity. Any one of these coins can pump at any time, and they're all going to come in cycles. Just because it's not HEX season right now doesn't mean there's not going to be another HEX season. And then PulseChain is going to probably have months of downtime, and PulseX is probably going to have months of downtime. And these things are all going to kind of flip-flop, and it's going to, rather than trying to chase all of them, get your bag of all of them, and you'll be positioned, especially if you realize what the communities behind these things are actually doing, the work we're doing, the work you can do if you want to, and the infrastructure that we're building. It just makes me so confident that in the next bull market, when crypto bounces back, HEX and PulseChain both are going to bounce back hard AF. Don't want to get censored on YouTube. Want that monetization. But
yeah, I mean, look, I totally agree. And I think that once PulseChain does come out, I think it's going to be so much fun, because one of the cases for owning HEX right now, I don't know if the snapshot has happened or when it's going to happen, but there's rumor that that it should be potentially on its way. Has it happened yet or no?
The snapshot and the fork are the same thing. So there's no like date and then a fork. It's just like, okay, the fork is happening here, and if you're not holding at that day, then you're screwed.
So my biggest thing then, if that hasn't been announced yet, and we're assuming that it will at some point in the future, what is that going to do for the price of a lot of these ERC20s and HEX itself? I mean, people are going to just potentially, again, we have no idea what will happen, but FOMO into HEX like crazy, right? And you could be sitting here right now going 12 cents. Oh my gosh, this is brutal. It could go down to 6 cents, and it very well could. It could go down to 2
Yes.
cents again. It very well could, right? Like, I think we need to be honest about that. But then if it pumps all the way back up to 50 cents, that's when people would be like, oh, not now to get it in. It's like, well, yeah, it's a tough thing to really realize. And that's why you're here, right? You're here to study and to learn and to understand what could happen in the future
Right.
to help you make the best decisions possible.
Yeah. And just a quick fact for you guys. I mean, I just did some quick math on the chart. It's really helpful to use that percentage tool so you can get an idea of what numbers might actually look like. If crypto drops 85% in every coin, you're not safe in any coin in crypto of dropping 85% in a bear market. It's all at risk. And I don't think there's many cryptos that haven't. Actually, I would be shocked if you could find me one cryptocurrency that has never dipped 85%. I will be shocked, besides a stablecoin. So we're down 75% from HEX, but 85% would be another 50% drop. So 85% down from the highs would be about 7.5 cents. Okay, from today's prices. Would you be buying at those levels, or would you emergency end your stake and sell your whole bag? I mean, that's what separates the winners from the losers. And and it's possible to touch those levels. It might not happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't want it to happen, but it might just wick down there for maybe a day, or maybe even less than a day. It might just wick and liquidate a bunch of people and then never touch those levels again. Or it might not, which is why dollar cost averaging at the lows is the safest bet you can possibly do. I mean, if you put a little bit in here and then goes down to 10, put a little bit in a 10. Oh, hey, maybe we never hit 7. Oh, now we're back up at 15. Then you put a little bit in at 15. And by the time we're back at all-time highs, you would just stacked, anywhere between 10 and 20 cents. And so it doesn't matter what your average price is. You're happy either way.
Yeah. There's something that I'll share here briefly. And I talk about this a lot on my channel. And the thing that why I'm able to take higher risks with my own personal portfolio is because a lot of the money that I'm playing with is house money, right? So that to me is like the ultimate goal that you want to get to with crypto. It's like, okay, well, how do you get there then, right? How do you start playing with house money? Well, I'll just share with you an example of what happened to me personally. And it's happened to many of my other students. It's happened to many people in cryptocurrency. It's no secret. But you got to get into new projects early. What I did, gosh, this was many months ago. I invested $10,000. And fortunately for me, that was, that might be a lot of money to a lot of people. But for me, I was like, if I lose this and it goes to zero, whatever, right? I put in $10,000 and I was one of the first ones to buy one of these new cryptocurrency coins. It was some random coin on like the Tron network. Like as crazy as that was.
No.
Man. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, right? Well,
Yeah.
that crypto and the amount of money went from 10,000 to $500,000 in literally a matter of a minute. Like I kid you not. Then I watched it go all the way back down to $100,000. So I'm like, wow, good job. Like way to just like watch it pump and then watch it dump. And then it did level back off. And I ended up, cashing out. I was smart enough to go, all right, time to hit the road. You know what I mean? Like, this is not sustainable. And I'm going to slowly just taper and take profits. And over the next week, that's exactly what I ended up doing. And ended up making about $200,000 to $250,000 in profit. And I'm not here to brag about that or whatever, because to be totally honest about it, in crypto, that's probably not a lot of money. But to me, then I had this opportunity, right? It's like, okay, I took 10,000 and turned it into 200. Now what do I do? Right? You get a whole new set of problems, which is too much money. And that's where you want to be. And so for me, then I just started diversifying, like I shared earlier, because like we both have said here, we don't know exactly when a coin is going to pump, when it's going to dump. You don't know any of that kind of stuff. And if anyone tells you that and they have these predictions, they're like, this is going to happen on this date. I mean, it never really ever works out like that. Maybe like once in a blue moon that actually will. But the truth is like, that's not how it really works. And so I diversified like crazy. And so, and I've just been sitting on a lot of these coins, like honestly, just been sitting on them and just watching them grow. And they've grown exponentially since then. And that's where you want to be. So now I have, house money. So I can go and invest in new cryptocurrency coins. And if they fail, they fail. All right, no problem. I'm just going to keep playing the game over and over again. And to me, that's where it takes all the anxiety and all of the fear out of what's happening right now, so that you don't make mistakes ultimately, because it's kind of like poker. The people who play poker, the ones who make the most and the biggest mistakes are the ones that unfortunately lose the most money. It's the ones who make the least amount of mistakes. Those are the ones that end up profiting over time. And that's where we want to be. The mistake is somewhere in the bottom. The truth is that we don't know where it will be. So what we can look at is, okay, if it's down 75%, maybe it goes to 85%. Like that could be an indicator, like we're probably down pretty low, right? You can just take a look at the chart. Like it looks pretty low. So again, not financial advice, but the time to have sold was at 50 cents, right? And that's where, like, okay, maybe it would have went to $1 and you don't know where, but this is where I share with people a lot. If things are pumping and they're green and they've gone up 5x, 10x, have a strategy for yourself where you take some off the table. Like sit in a stable coin, take some money
just
off.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and then, like,
enough to make you comfortable that you can pay your bills. If crypto's your only job, which hopefully it's not, you know, hopefully you got a couple other income streams.
And the biggest thing that I've learned about HEX is it is wildly volatile. And that is because of the liquidity and just the coin itself. And there's just a lot of other factors that go into it. And so this is a very volatile asset. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it can pump like crazy. It's a bad thing because it can also dump like crazy. And we're kind of witnessing some of that. And
yes,
I don't think people understand enough about that side of it, right? They just kind of invest and they're like, well, what should I do? It's like, well, there's not a clear-cut answer to this because there's so many different factors that go into it. And you got to really study. I really teach this to you. You got to really put in your effort and work. You got to understand the project. You got to get in these communities. And that's it. And I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and I know I'm going on a rant here, but this is really, really critical. I listened to him on the plane when I was flying back yesterday. And he said before he invests in any real estate property, he takes a look at 100 homes before he buys one. 100 to 1. That's his ratio. Whenever it's a new stock, 100 to 1. And to me, you know, people will just like watch a video and they go, okay, this one. Yep, I'm going to go buy that one. And it's like,
yeah,
I'm going to look at 100 of these things. This is what I do, right? I study white papers. I look at the different projects. I talk to, you know,
founders,
many other people in the industry who are experts, who have more expertise on a project than even I do, right? Because that to me is how you can make informed decisions. And you're not going to be right all the time. You won't. Like it's just, it's impossible. But hopefully that gives some more context to people who are kind of trying to figure this out, and they're trying to go, you know, they got to make a decision, because ultimately you do have to make a decision. But at the end of the day, hopefully that will kind of give you a little bit of a foundation. And I think that's super helpful. So I don't know if you have more to add with how people can kind of have this foundation to making these decisions and ultimately be successful, because that's what, you know, we hear about people becoming wildly successful and rich and all of that with crypto, but ultimately it is kind of a smaller, minute subset of people that are doing this. And so what kind of makes the winners from the losers here in your expertise?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you can't just say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. My strategy is a little bit different. You talk about minimizing your mistakes, and I agree with that. Although maybe you and I go about it in a little bit of a different way. I do like to put my eggs in just a few baskets and watch those baskets very, very closely. I like to really learn about what I'm getting invested into. And guys, it's okay to say no to investments. If you see a video about a random altcoin, you don't just go press the buy button. That's your intro into a deeper understanding. So I totally agree with Joe on that one. The only things I've really ever invested into are things where I've interviewed the founders, I've looked at the code, looked at the audits, looked at how it performs in the wild, looked at other versions maybe of the same project, you know, follow the founders, interview the founders. You know, you have to have a deep understanding before you put your eggs into a basket. And again, you have to say no to 99.9% of things in order to get that 0.01% of winners. Because there's 10,000 cryptos out there, guys. How many are really going to survive? But my approach is that the things that I do like and get into, I then double down and I go promote them online, because it's all about onboarding, right? So I'm not just saying, oh, hey, here's a cool thing that I like. I'm saying, here's a cool thing I like, and here's why, you know, I like it, and here's why you should like it too. Again, I'm not telling anyone to buy anything ever, but I'm trying to pump my own bags, which then become your bags. And I'm not being around the bush on that at all. I want the things I buy to go up because I think they're awesome, and I think you should think they're awesome too. So without, you know, getting as close to financial advice as possible, without, you know, doing something illegal, I want to shout from the rooftop how awesome HEX is, how awesome PulseChain is. And I want us to all be on the same winning team together. So yes, I like to invest in things that I think are really cool and innovative, life-changing. But I genuinely don't believe that I'm just selling to a greater fool. Like, I want to be in this game with you guys for at least 5 to 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? And that game might incorporate not only HEX, but PulseChain, PulseX, and a couple of other things. But that's just kind of my style. Peso dude, thank you for the tip. Keep up the great content. Thank you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what you had to say. You know, the having just a few really big baskets of a few things too helps not have a gazillion altcoins everywhere. I kind of am a victim of that maybe at times, where I have a gazillion altcoins everywhere. But also, you know, if I look at my portfolio, there's definitely bigger bags overall, right? It's like, okay, there's definitely, I got a big bag of this one, a big bag of this one, big bag of this one, and you know, a lot of these other altcoins where
a couple small ones. Yeah.
And the point that I want to make is, if you have a lot of these other altcoins, what you really ultimately want to do is have what we call moon bags, right? People say, oh, it's a moon bag. Well, what's a moon bag? A moon bag is you got a bunch of these coins that if it goes to the moon, fantastic. And if it doesn't, it costs you nothing, right? So ultimately, you know, from a strategy standpoint, that's what I'm, you know, attracted to. I want to have a bunch of moon bags where I've made my money already. And let's say, you know, okay, I can take my house money, throw it into this. And if it goes up, great. And if it doesn't, that's fine too, right? Because what I've experienced and what you were saying as well is really true. There's only going to be so many winners, right? And you got to really do your research to find them. And so there is a lot of these other coins that are just, they're not going to make it, right?
I think what a lot of people are doing in these bear markets too, this happens all the time. It was especially clear in 2017. There's a lot of people consolidate some of their moon bags, some of their altcoins or whatever they may be, into a select few that they really truly believe in. So it's a time to assess and look around and say, hey, which of these coins are objectively designed better? Which of these coins seem to have communities that aren't giving up and that are progressing forward? That's maybe only 5 or 10 coins right now. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there will always be a Bitcoin community, Ethereum community, but there's a reason that 2017 and 2018 made so many Bitcoin maximalists. It's because they went running home to Daddy Bitcoin to save them because they were so hurt by everything else. And they felt like, oh, if I would have just invested in Bitcoin. Little did they realize Bitcoin also went down 85%, right? But, you know, it came back. It was the most likely to come back. And I would agree with that. You know, it did come back. Not as hard as everything else did, but it survived. And so you got to look at the survivability factor, which, I mean, you think HEX is going anywhere? No way in hell, in my humble opinion. Hold on. We got a tip really quick. Thank you, Joseph. Other than, this is a question actually. So maybe we'll hand this one off to you, Joe.
Cool.
Other than possibly staking, is there anything we should or need to do with our HEX before, during, or after Pulse release? There's not much else you can do with HEX besides stake. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is whether it's staked or not staked, you'll receive a copy of it over on the new PulseChain, as long as you have it in your own wallet before the snapshot happens, right? And so the game theory then, Joseph, would be, you know, ultimately, what do you believe is going to happen with HEX? If you believe that HEX is going to 2 cents, well, then obviously, you know, sitting at 12 cents, it kind of like makes up your mind, right? But if you believe HEX is going to 50 cents, well, then, you know, staking it to earn more in interest while it potentially is going to go up even more, you know, might be more lucrative to you. But this is where, again, not financial advice, but you need to do the research of HEX and understand what it is, right? And understand what it can do for you so that you can ultimately make that decision. But as far as we've been told and we understand, whether you're staking or just holding it as an asset, as long as you have your own keys, you're going to be getting a copy. And ultimately then, whether you want to try to get more HEX or take money off the table, it's just truly going to be up to you.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, there's not much you can do with HEX right now. You stake it, leave it liquid. Maybe do half and half. Maybe stake some, leave some liquid if you want to make any trades or swaps on PulseChain. Maybe check out things like Hedron. These are new, risky, experimental things. So I'm not by any means telling you what to do, but look at all your possibilities with HEX. Right now, the only things I can think of is stake, liquid, or experiment with Hedron. That's literally the only thing that's coming to mind. But for maximum opportunity, half and half sounds okay. I don't know. I would stake it all, guys, because I'm a long-term thinker. I mean, I'm looking at 5-year timeframes, 10-year timeframes. Bitcoin went from a penny to $10,000, guys. Penny to $10,000. 60,000. It did a 6 million X. So if Hex can do even a fraction of that, it's only up about 2,500 X from its lows right now. You know, Hex can easily go to 3 digits if you want to wait the amount of years required to wait. So if you want to do something, if you feel like you have to take an action when PulseChain releases, the only action would be, you know, maybe some risky early swapping, you know, or some dip buying if PulseChain dips in the first month, or pulsex dips in the first month, and you don't already have a bag of Pulse and pulsex. In that case, you would need a little bit of liquid Hex. So it just depends on what are your goals, right? So there's not anything like you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, people are loving it. Hexologist says it definitely it's going to 0. Yeah, that's right. That's why you sold it, right, Hexa? That's why you sold your bag.
Well, I mean, look, I think that's important to, you know, to talk about that, because the truth is all of these cryptos could go to 0. Bitcoin could go to 0. You know what I mean? Like, it could happen. Is it more? But what you need to think about is it likely to happen, right? So that's where people, again, like, you've got to really, really do the work. Okay, like there is no quick come onto a live stream, ask your question, you know exactly what to do then, and then you're good to go. It's like these markets and these cryptocurrency coins, they're always moving and fluctuating during, you know, for many different things. You know, we got, you know, crazy things happening in the world right now that's affecting prices, right? There's just so many different nuances and different things that you got to be thinking about, and you got to really keep an eye on. But the truth is like, yeah, any of these things could go to 0. How likely is that to happen, though? That's where you've got to, you know, understand risk reward. And I think that a lot of people, unfortunately, they come to crypto, but they don't have a lot of financial understanding and background. And that's one thing that for the last 5 to 10 years, I've been teaching people about finances, how to build businesses, how to create assets that put money into your pocket every single day. And to me, what attracted me to HEX so much, not only the community, because that's absolutely essential and key, but I really look at HEX as an asset, right? And with new innovations coming besides just staking, which I think will take HEX to an entirely another level, if you think of it as an asset, you stake it, and then it makes more of an asset for you. It's kind of like what Michael Saylor says is like, he's never selling Bitcoin. You know what I mean? What else is better? Like, what else are you going to trade it for? And he's not trying to trade it. He's not trying to time tops and bottoms. And for most people, that's what HEX is designed to do, is to stake long term, so you don't get shaken out, you don't do something crazy. And with Michael Saylor, he just says, look, I never selling this stuff. I'll borrow against it if I ever need cash, but I don't ever need cash. And so it's just accumulating assets. And again, this goes back to books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, mind your own business. Robert Kiyosaki says, mind your own business. He says, acquire assets that put cash flow in your pocket. And if you're able to do these HEX staking ladders, this kind of goes back to that question, but this is really important to get to. If you can do ladder staking, this is where you can earn interest. And then if you earn that interest, maybe you just sell the interest and then you just restake it again. And again, this is what a lot of people are thinking and doing, because then HEX really becomes an asset for you. You buy it, you stake it, you earn interest, and then you just keep playing this game. And ultimately, you're winning because you're earning the interest and selling it. So you put some, you know, money to the side there, which is fantastic. But also you're holding on to potentially an incredible asset. And I mean, the numbers don't lie here with HEX, right? Like, we've seen it go from crazy lows to crazy highs. And I think that's what gives us both conviction with the project itself, as well as new innovations coming. I'm just really excited about it. But yeah, let's definitely, as Benny says, smash up that like button. And yeah, man, I'll hand it back over to you here.
Yeah, like you said, you guys, you want to be buying income producing assets. This is an income producing asset, talking about HEX, that you don't have to sell, you don't have to repair the toilet, you don't have to fix the air conditioning, right? There's not many income producing assets out there. Most people talk about real estate when they talk about that, but you want to buy income producing assets. Now, what's the best income producing asset? Really, it's having a business, starting a business. You know, it's kind of one of the beautiful things about HEX is that it's a self-propagating business machine. Like, it gives people opportunities to start a business around HEX. I myself, I have a business that's totally dedicated to teaching people about HEX, and I have revenue from YouTube and from courses, right? That's literally, I'm being paid to get the information out there, to pump everyone else's bags because I'm onboarding more people, and then simultaneously not having to sell HEX because I have my basic needs met. And guys, when you're making, you know, enough to pay the rent and bills, you don't really feel this scarcity mindset of needing to sell crypto. And there's all these kinds of other different people. There's like 50 different YouTube channels out there. They're HEX only, right? And all these guys have all these crazy business ideas. Some are probably working more successfully than others, but there's an opportunity, right? So if you want to get strategic in this bear market and you want to come up with a creative way to make money, I think there's a ton of opportunity in the HEX and PulseChain ecosystem. If you want to be, one of the new PulseChain guys, you can go ahead and mark your territory over there. You want to sell t-shirts, go sell t-shirts like Molly. I'm sure he's going to do pretty good with that. You know what I mean? So there's opportunity all around us. It just depends on your perspective.
Yeah, and I will say, one of the best things that anyone can do, and I'm the biggest believer in this because this is exactly what I've done, and it's just worked incredibly well for me. And I am going to talk about our products here because it's just the truth. So we both have an online class, and a lot of people might say, "Oh, well, they're just trying to make money and all of this kind of stuff."
Oh,
but it's like
people are going to hate you if you try to make money, bro.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. But my point is that if I look back at my life, the best money I have ever spent is on online courses. The best. I spent over, I think it was $800, and then I spent over $10,000 on 2 different programs. Both of those programs combined helped me learn more about digital marketing, cryptocurrency, a lot of different things. I've made over 7 figures in profit since taking those classes, and that's just the beginning of this, right? And so It's like, okay, invest $10,000, make $1 million. Is that a good investment or not a good investment, right? Get around the right people get around the right people who know what they're talking about and can help you navigate this, because the truth is people, it's so crazy to me. People won't spend a couple $100s on a class, but yet they'll try it on their own, and then they'll end up like getting scammed or getting wrecked. And it's like, so I see this all the time in my DMs. I see it all the time. It is very sad. They go to my YouTube channel. Oh, this and this and that. I just put $20,000 into this thing and now it's gone. It's like, you just invested, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it's like you just invested $20,000, but yet you wouldn't spend a couple $100s to really educate yourself on how this would work, so that doesn't happen. And it's too bad, even if it's 20,000, say it was $1,000, 5,000. I mean, this is happening across the board, and it's like I have dedicated videos teaching you exactly how a lot of these scams operate, so it doesn't happen to you, and you can recognize it, so you can get out of there. Because you know what, I myself have sent money to wrong addresses. I've made all the mistakes already. I've lost thousands of dollars, which is probably tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars now, making a lot of these mistakes. So what have I done? I made a video lesson in a program for people who are serious, who want to take things to the next level. And that's what I truly do believe in. And I know you would do as well with your class. And again, I know it's more HEX focused, but the truth is like, if you would have enrolled in your class whenever you made it, I'm sure it was many months ago, compared to now, and executed some of the things that you talk about in your course, I'm sure people would be wildly successful, and they would be, and they would have made their money back from the class times 100. And that to me is not here to shill the products. What I am saying is that the education and also being around experts is worth every little bit of your money, because these people, like, we've dedicated ourselves to one specific thing. You're even more specific than me, HEX and Pulse and that whole ecosystem. I got crypto in general, but my point is that like, that's what people like know us for at the moment. And that to me is like, if you go to a doctor and you have a problem, it's like, are you just going to go to like some, random doc? Like, you go to a specific doctor for a specific problem, right? So I really do think that if there is people who are interested to learn more and want to personally like get a hold of this thing and really just like dive headfirst in, like, we have opportunities for those people. And many of my students, I have so many different testimonials and people saying, thank you so much, this worked out really well. People have earned thousands of dollars, and then they're free rolling, man. It's like, look, if you get one of these projects right, you invest in one of our products, and like, dude, you're going to just make it times a gazillion potentially. Again, we never promise any results, but the truth is like, I just wanted to say this because I feel so many people, when they ask some of the questions that they're asking, it's like they're looking for this little trick. They're looking for this little thing. And it's like, no, like, that can work. It's like winning the lottery though, right? It's like you can pick 7 numbers, 11 numbers, whatever it is, and win the lottery. But also it's like, or you can study how the lottery works and understand that the odds are significantly against your favor, right? And it's like, So then it's like, well, do you want to play the lottery game, or do you want to play like a business game like real estate or like crypto or like something else where the odds are significantly in your favor? Cryptocurrency is the highest appreciating asset class of all time. The odds are in your favor on that one. That's a good game to play,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
so that's why, I think that we're both here. Obviously, is you said that obviously you're here to help make money and further yourself and everything else. And I think we all have aspirations of becoming financially free. And I did want to get back to that really quickly. And I know I'm rambling, but it's really true. Like, why I'm personally in crypto is for financial freedom, but also to help others. I truly like. I'm not when I ever talk about new crop projects and coins. And I have full disclosures in all of my videos and everything that I do own a lot of the cryptocurrencies that I talk about. But the truth is like, I'm not trying to have you buy my bag from me. That's never my intent ever, because karmically, that's just kind of like, it's never a good thing. It's like, if that happens as a byproduct of the project being successful, then that's ultimately what's going to happen, right? My job here is just to educate and to share an opportunity. What you do with that opportunity is ultimately your decision, right? It's like, I could talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, any of these other altcoins, right? And ultimately, then it's up to you to see, all right, does this Joe guy know what he's talking about, or does he not know what he's talking about? It's like, oh, okay, well, he talked about this one project, and then 3 days after he talked about it, it went up 5 or 10x, kind of like he was alluding to it could happen. It's like, well, then there you go. And so that's we'll end it there. We'll get back to some more of these questions, but yes, Hex, knowledge is king for sure.
Well, I think that's actually a great place to end it. I don't see a lot of questions coming in, so I just want to say thanks to all 400 of you guys for watching. Hey, go like and subscribe to Joe Parys. Thanks for the tip, D-Money. That's nice, man. He wants to talk about pulsex and the Boo token. We don't really know enough to talk about that yet, so that'll be a totally different topic for another video.
Yeah, I mean, we can answer a couple more questions here real briefly. We got a couple more minutes if there's any more questions that are coming in. Looking at the Boo token and the pulsex, just to briefly kind of answer that, to at least my understanding and ability, is that it's a really interesting game theory, but the whole intent is designed for people to do the one thing that Richard knows works really well in crypto, which is to buy and hold. Right? If you're incentivized to buy and hold the crypto because of a game theory aspect, and I'll merge this here in a second, but that's basically what is happening with pulsex. Because you think to yourself, well, why would I buy this token? And why would I hold this token? Right? And so with HEX, you could think the same thing. Why would I buy HEX and why would I hold it? Well, the main thing that I have a lot of conviction with HEX personally is the whole T-share game theory. You understand that to me is where I believe HEX can last long term, right? Because again, like we said, any of these cryptos can go to zero. But the one thing that keeps getting me is that people are greedy ultimately. And there are some HEX whales who have hundreds of millions of HEX, right? But ultimately, they want their interests and they want these assets to keep building more wealth for them. And if you have 100 million HEX, let's say, you stake it for, let's say, a week, and you make it's a lot of HEX. It is. And you make, let's say, 300,000 HEX, right? And then you have to restake that because that's what you're doing is you're generating income. Well, every single time you do that, you're going to have to stake it longer to get the same amount of T-shares. And you're going to have to keep doing that. And over time, it just keeps increasing. And so you're either going to have to stake longer or you're going to have to re-roll some of that HEX to stake more. And this, again, this game theory is so misunderstood. And also, it's just, to me, in my eyes, I can see, well, why would you stake it? Well, now you know why. You would because you want those T-shares. And that, to me, potentially is where the value in HEX lies. Now, the same game theory looks like it could be being applied to pulsex just a little bit differently, right? It's incentivizing you to get in early and to stake, and then you get more of this PX or whatever the token is, and then that kind of generates more for you. And so that's my understanding, and I'm very noob to it, but I don't know if you have any other things to kind of share about what was actually happening there.
Yeah, there's been talks about copying the model of Boo and XBoo from Phantom Swap or Spooky Swap on the Phantom chain. some of the names for these things are ridiculous, but yeah, I don't know if Richard Hart's going to do that, guys. So it's way too early for me to speculate about that, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of trying to explain some new complicated contraption, and then it doesn't even end up being what's in reality.
For sure.
So You know, you can educate yourself about the Boo X Boo system, but right now, the latest I've heard from the developers is just that pulsex is going to remain unchanged, you know, 0.07% to buy and burn. And then the incentive token, whatever that may be, is just going to be your staking rewards for various liquidity incentives. I don't know if there needs to be much more than that. I don't know if there needs to be some crazy game theory to prevent incentive token from dumping, right? That's what a lot of people are talking about. But yeah, I don't know for sure, right? There might be some more tricks up Richard Hart's sleeves, some more innovations for the developers, but I can't guarantee that right now. So anything we say is just fun speculation. You know, there's talks about adding voting privileges in the DAO to see who gets rewarded with more of these tokens. But yeah, I mean, one of my ideas that I'd like to see is maybe instead of a complete buy and burn, you do half buy and burn and then half to distribute as staking rewards to incentive token stakers. That could be an easy way to siphon off some of that, you know, would be buy and burn pressure. Although then you're introducing potential sell pressure, but you're also at the same time making incentive token more worth holding. You know, and incentive token doesn't even have a name, so it sounds ridiculous to have all these conversations like saying incentive token. Like it's nobody even knows the name yet. So we think it's going to be pulsex and then X pulsex, which is kind of hard to say. It's confusing. We you know, we don't know yet. So just be careful and don't believe anybody, but stay educated.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing that we want to, you know, maybe wrap up here with is ultimately continue to do your own research. And while we both have spent a lot of time, energy, and effort studying these projects, ultimately there is an amount of unknown that none of us are going to be able to ultimately say, okay, yep, this is what you should do. Like, and if, again, I really want to reiterate this. If anyone says, do this, like, first off, legally, they probably shouldn't be doing that unless they're our financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to really think about why they're saying that, because there is so much unknown in the markets today. And ultimately, you know, you've got to really do the work, right? Put in the work to this. And the people who put in the work, who keep studying, keep watching the videos, keep coming back, those are the ones who are rewarded potentially right away. Because in this market, we've seen people get, you know, really wealthy very quickly, and it very well can happen, but also in the long run. And so I do believe in a short game and a long game. I think you can have it all with here, you know, with crypto. You can own all the coins. You can have a ball here, right? I truly do believe that. And yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic. So I don't know if we had any last questions here or anything else you wanted to wrap up with.
That's all I got, man. Make sure to like and subscribe to both of our channels. Pump your own bags, guys. You know the deal. Make this go viral. The more people you tell, the more people that are onboarded, the higher the price goes. And there's 99.999% of the world that doesn't know about HEX and PulseChain yet. So get out there. Spread the word. It's going to be good. The rising tide lifts all ships. That's all for today, guys. See you on the next video.